Hey everybody, Mike McElroy here with Center Coast Realty. It's time for our West Loop real estate market update. Thanks for joining us. Before we get into it, we're about to talk about some general market trends. If you want to know about your specific home or a specific home that you've got your eye on and you want to know what it's worth, the best way to tell is to look at recently sold nearby comps. So if that's you, fill out the form below with your name, email, and the address of the home that you're interested in, and we will send you a handcrafted list of comparable properties for sale so you get a really good look at what your value is. Okay, let's jump into it. I'm going to start off by talking to the home sellers in West Loop. Let's get this out of the way. Band-Aid up front. Another month went by and it wasn't great for West Loop home sellers. Demand was flat. So the same number of homes went under contract in August of this year as did in August of last year and pretty much August of the year before. So that's not necessarily bad. It's just that we have this huge deficit to make up from March and April and May that's not going to be made up if demand just stays the same. So it looks like that demand is probably just not coming back and we're returning to essentially a pretty normal level of demand for the West Loop. Until we had this huge divot in March from coronavirus, demand was pretty much the same as it was back in 2017 when prices were still rising. The difference is this: 133% increase in the number of homes for sale on the market. More than double, well more than double. So what happened? Taxes went up. People saw how much equity they had in their homes and they just decided now's the time to sell. New construction was a factor for a while and it still is, but that's actually mediating a little bit. There's not quite as much new construction on the market. It's the resale market, folks. There's a lot of people trying to sell their homes in the West Loop starting at the beginning of last year, really. So it's been a trend for a while. So we're gonna have to ride this out. Prices are gonna remain soft to down for probably another 18 months or so until we just clear through some of this inventory. So if you need to sell in the next year or so, might as well give it a shot now. Demand will probably pick up again a little bit in the new year. If you don't need to sell right now, hang tight. I, as many of you know, I own a home in the West Loop. No plans of selling it anytime soon. I'm going to hang on there and wait for prices to continue to increase, as I think they will in about 18 months again. All right, home buyers. You've got the upper hand in the West Loop right now. If you're shopping for a home in the West Loop, you have a lot of options. You got a lot of homes that have been sitting on the market for a while. And if you were paying attention for the first half, you know that the West Loop is still a very desirable part of town to live in. Just as many people want to live there as did back when home prices were increasing. It's just that there's a lot more options on the market right now. So eventually that inventory is going to turn over and prices are going to start to increase again. So with interest rates around 3%, which is bananas, that's as cheap as it's ever been to borrow money to buy a home. With interest rates that low, with this many options on the market, if you're not trying to buy a home in the West Loop right now, what are you doing? So here's how I would play it if I was a West Loop home buyer. You're probably a little bit concerned that you're going to buy a home and home prices will keep decreasing for a while. Fair. So look for a home that's been on the market for a while and make a lower offer. Look for homes that aren't presented very well. The staging isn't very good. The photos don't look very good. You know, perhaps it was rented out for a period of time and the sellers didn't do very much work to it before they put it on the market. They didn't paint, they didn't clean or stage, things like that. If you find opportunities like that, those listings are most likely to sit for a little bit longer. Now, it doesn't mean the seller is going to take your lower offer, but it does mean that you won't have to compete with a whole bunch of other home buyers when you're trying to buy it. Another very interesting month in West Loop real estate. Stick with us. We'll be back next month to talk about how the September numbers stacked up. In the meantime, if you want to know what your home is worth, fill out the form below, request some comps, and we'll get right back to you with more information. We'll see you next time.